showtime. Alright, everyone settle down. I said settle down. Quiet. Good. Now we can begin. I want to thank all of you for attending our patron's call. The doctor has a new project in store for us, for his kin, and I assure you we will deliver. Today's assignment will be the analysis of the skull fragments our doctor has collected from the forest of Oh, one moment, please. Yes? Yes, my doctor. Yes? What? Change of plans? A hybrid? For a contest? But doctor, I don't understand. Surely what we're doing now is of greater precedence. What could possibly be more important at this time than... Ah, I see. Yes, I understand. We'll get on it right away. Well, my chemkin, things seem to have taken an interesting turn. Tell me, who here wants to make a monster? Welcome, my creature connoisseurs, my allies in the monstrous. Welcome. My name is Dreadmir, and welcome to my little clinic. Today, we have an exciting challenge ahead of us. We have been tasked with creating a hybrid creature capable of matching the likes of Gojicenter's very own genetic marvel, the Indominus Rex version 2.0. My kin and I have been working extensively to compile the necessary information, research, and components necessary to make a creature that would be fit for the task. But of course, before we go into our own marvel, we must first do a quick overview of our opponent. For a more in-depth analysis, I would highly recommend viewing Gojicenter's own videos on the creature. But, to put it bluntly, we're dealing with an ape-armed, spear-wielding, armored psychopath with Freddy Krueger claws and the latest in shrew dental technology, all while wearing an entire island's worth of gore and various substances. In layman's terms, a walking extinction event. Against a demon like this, I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes. In order to fight monsters, we created monsters of our own. Of course, no giant mechs here today, just blood, bone, and genetics. Finally, a few goals I want this creature to meet just to keep things interesting. Number 1, it must be able to beat the Indominus 2.0 at least 50% of the time. After all, what's the point then? Number 2, it must follow all of Gojicenter's contest rules, naturally. Number 3, we will be using less components than the original Indominus 2.0. And number 4, we will keep shared components and attributes between the two creatures to a minimum, just to make sure things feel different and a little original. You got all that? Good. Now then, with all that out of the way, we can begin with our first component, the Dinosuchus. With a crocodile as the base for our dinosaur-killing hybrid, I figured, why not start with a crocodile that did kill dinosaurs? From Dinosuchus, we can pull a plethora of valuable traits. These will include great size, excellent swimming ability, various senses, armor, and resilience. Let's start with the size. To match a creature just as large as the Indominus 2.0, our hybrid will have to be sufficiently large itself. With the big croc having weights and lengths Approaching some of the largest and heaviest theropods to ever exist, I felt this was a good place to start. For locomotion, a powerful tail for propulsion through the water, while strong, albeit short legs haul its great mass onto the land. Keen senses akin to most modern crocodilians, including an array of dermal pits across the body and focused along the snout for the detection of even the smallest vibrations, whether in the water or on dry land. Tough scales and bony osteoderms across the entire body act as built-in armor. And of course, this is a crocodile we're talking about. We can't forget the bite. With an estimated bite force ranging from the low end greater than any modern-day crocodile to a high end potentially greater than the tyrant lizard king's own deadly bite, the Deinosuchus has a crushing bite force that, with its strong conical teeth, should be perfect for crushing and grabbing onto anything that it gets a hold of, then subsequently tearing them apart with another one of its deadliest techniques, the death roll. This spinning motion would be more than fatal, with entire limbs and chunks of the body ripping from the prey in mere moments. Now, while the death roll is primarily designed to be used in water to support the crocodile's great bulk, there have been numerous accounts of it using the same technique on land, albeit to a much slower degree, though just as devastating effects. A technique Deinosuchus was likely able to do as well. This leads me to our final attribute I want to talk about: resilience. The crocodilian family as a whole is quite hardy when it comes to unfavorable climates, habitats, disease, and even enduring against the venom of numerous snakes that they prey on. Physically, crocodiles have been seen on numerous occasions to survive encounters where they've lost limbs, tails, and jaws. With all this together, this will make our hybrid a veritable tank that will take a mountain of punishment before he goes down. For our next species, we'll be using another ancient crocodile to enhance the base of our Deinosuchus, though for a set of attributes completely different to what we already have now. For our second component, we'll be using Caprosuchus. Also known as the boar croc, Caprosuchus will be bringing two distinct features to our specimen, starting with the head. Alongside two distinct crests near the back of the skull and its fearsome appearance, the boar croc's most distinct features were the three sets of boar-like tusks lining its muzzle, notably larger than the rest of its teeth, able to pierce deep into muscle and through any organs within their reach. With teeth like that, on a hybrid like ours, we can guarantee that our bite will not only be one of the strongest, but one of the most fatal, as not only will its prey be crushed under massive pressure, but several sword-like teeth will puncture into vital organs akin to an Iron Maiden. Of course, Caprosuchus wasn't simply unique just for its teeth. Take a look at its legs. Unlike the legs of most crocodiles, Caprosuchus's were notably longer and likely much better equipped for a more terrestrial lifestyle than its more waterlogged kin. I want these legs to aid our lumbering beast not only to move a bit faster, but to be able to swiftly turn, reposition, and even charge if needed, using its immense bulk as a battering ram. Coupled with its armored head and snout, our hybrid will be able to deliver slashing swings of its head, bulldoze obstacles out of its path, and even bludgeoning its foes, toppling them in the process. Now then, on to our third specimen, as well as our first specimen that isn't a crocodile, though you could say it's not too far off. Our third component will be the Mosasaurus. No, not that, but rather this. For this hybrid, Hoffman's mosasaur will be contributing its size, powerful tail, and adept swimming ability to our concoction. This tail, in particular, was capable of propelling the mosasaur through the water for surprise ambushes at incredible speeds, While this powerful tail couldn't do much to propel the mosasaur outside of the water, I can assure you I have important plans for it later down the line with 2 more of our specimens. Now, I'm sure there will be questions, such as why aren't we just using the InGen mosasaur? And why even use a mosasaur when Deinosuchus is already the base? What does a mosasaur even contribute to this case? My primary hesitancy to use any creatures from the Jurassic World or Park franchise simply comes down to an uncertainty and certain level of instability in their genome. As impressive as these creatures may be, they are still clearly modified versions of the true species. These uncertainties might mess with our creature's natural congruency and thus result in a less stable product. Better stick to what we know. As I intend to add several more fully terrestrial species to our hybrid's genetic makeup, I felt it necessary to include another giant aquatic predator that would help to enhance the existing features we already have. Our 4th species will be a familiar face, as well as the only truly shared species between our hybrid and the Indominus 2.0, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Again, not that one, for the same reasons that we discussed with the mosasaur. While I did consider other large theropods to avoid using the most popular dinosaurs and extinct animals for our list, for a hybrid like ours, the traits that the Rex brought were just simply too great to ignore. Of course, it would seem obvious that the reason we're including the T-Rex in the first place is for its world-renowned bite. While the small serrations along these rather large teeth and an impressive jaw structure will be incorporated in our hybrid, would you believe me when I say it's actually not the reason I decided to pick on the Tyrant King? In fact, the reason I picked Tyrannosaurus was for almost everything but the jaws, and the arms of course. Let me explain. T-Rex was one of, if not the heaviest theropod to ever walk the face of the planet. To support such a size, several adaptations were evolved to support its powerful build. Its heavily muscled legs and tail, connected by the catofemoralis muscle, would have allowed for efficient strides, while air sacs within the body improve oxygen distribution as well as vent off excess heat, reducing the risk of heat stroke and lactic acid buildup in the muscles. Considering the size and crocodilian build of our hybrid, these adaptations will be crucial to have the stamina and structural support necessary for combat. Finally, we'll be incorporating the T-Rex's excellent senses and above-average dinosaur intelligence. With a sense of smell considered the best amongst dinosaurs, and a large brain that, backed by extensive research, supported social cooperation and various complex behaviors, coupled with our hybrid's crocodilian senses and sensory pits. And this bruiser will not only be able to keep track of its opponent, but also have a mind to assess its situation. Critical skills when facing an opponent as crafty and as stealthy as the Indominus 2.0. Now that our hybrid has taken on the form of a true behemoth, I say it's time that we swap from offense to defense. Our next 2 species will be 2 of the most heavily armored herbivores to ever walk the earth. Their traits will not only bolster our heavy armor, but turn our hybrid's tail into a wicked auxiliary weapon. Our 5th and 6th components will be the Gastonia and the Cychania. Wait. I will allow the Dinosaur King reference, only because it's the right creature for the moment. Anyways, let's start with the Nodosaur, Gastonia. While not the largest of its class, the Gastonia's armored hide was lined with numerous osteoderms and sharpened spines going down its back and its flanks. However, outside of its armor, its primary contribution will be its tail. Unlike their relatives, the Ankylosaurs, Nodosaurs lacked a tail club. However, in Gastonia's case, its long sweeping tail was lined with sharpened plate-like spines that were largest near the base of the tail and descended down its length. I want these spines not only to protect our tail, but also to allow our massive tail to swing with great force, not only battering its opponents, but leaving deep gashes wherever it lands. The biological equivalent of adding barbed wire to a baseball bat. Saichania's contributions will also include its heavy armor, as well as an increased coverage of that armor across its flanks and forelimbs. While this armor won't be as thick as the plates on the back to ensure our hybrid is still able to move properly, any set of claws or jaws attempting to target what should be a vulnerable area will be met with relatively hard scales and thorny osteoderms. Couple this with the Gastonia and Saichania's defensive behaviors to angle their bodies and swinging tails towards their attacker, and anything approaching our hybrid will have to face snapping jaws on one end, a sweeping barbed tail on the other, and in between, a wall of scale and spines. With our hybrid almost complete, it's time we add the finishing touches. For our 7th and final species, I present to you a conqueror, an invader, born of poison that brings giants to their grave, a ravenous beast fueled only by hunger and the extinction of all around it. The X Factor. What? Hey, don't look at me like that. It's an X Factor, of course it was going to be weird. Gojicenter used a shrew of all things. Anyways, yes, for my final species, I will be using the cane toad. Beyond its ravenous appetite and its rather grumpy appearance, the cane toad's primary contribution will be its poison-producing pores. When sufficiently stressed, or appropriate pressure applied to the skin, a sticky, milky poison that secretes from its pores and absorbs into the skin. While not typically fatal to humans, this poison has been shown on numerous occasions to be fatal to a number of Australian wildlife, from cats to dogs to saltwater crocodiles. Symptoms of this bufotoxin can include increased heart rate, irritation, increased salivation, and disorientation, with worse symptoms including convulsions, paralysis, temporary blindness, and even death. This poisonous little toad has had a devastating effect on its ecosystem, and it's these very traits that I plan to use to finish our hybrid. Not only will our hybrid be a more proactive hunter, going after anything it can fit into its jaws, the toad's vocal sac will amplify the already deep bellows and rumbles of our croc's calls for a more intimidating display. In a physical fight, any attacker runs the risk of coming in contact with the poison. Without the proper resistance, those afflicted will struggle to fight and think to their full capacity. And against a hybrid as deadly as ours, a single mistake could be fatal. As you can see behind me, our beast has gone through a number of revisions and various changes in its process. All of this work could not have been possible without the efforts of our lead designer and flesh crafter. For this project, a special thank you to Gihon. More on them later. Now then, let there be no more delays. Barbaro Sucus Gigas. But you can also call him Riktor. And there he is, Riktor, my beautiful creature, and the fruit of my grand design. Before we finish things up here, let's go over his profile, as well as a few closing thoughts on this whole war that we've chosen to participate in. Let's begin. Riktor's proper name is Barbarosuchus gigas, translating to the barbarous crocodile giant, or giant barbarous crocodile. Length, approximately 55 feet. Height, 15 feet, measuring the tallest dorsal scales along the back and hips. Weight, up to 15 tons. Offensive features include a massive set of jaws with a bite force likely to be amongst one of the highest to ever exist. Rows of large conical, serrated teeth perfect for gripping and crushing. 3 sets of elongated tusk-like fangs for delivering slashing head swings and piercing bites into the prey's body cavity. A heavily armored head and nose for ramming and bashing. A long and armored tail, flexible for swimming, and lined with durable armor and sharp spines that would slash at flesh like the teeth of a chainsaw. And finally, the death roll, one of the deadliest techniques this hybrid can use. Defensive features will include durable armor across the majority of the body, composed of hard scales, bony osteoderms, and keratin-sheathed spines. Increased armor coverage along the flanks and forearms to reduce vulnerability. A debilitating poison released from the pores of the skin when adequately stressed or under attack. A high resilience to pain and injuries, and an impressive level of resistance to various kinds of disease and toxins. Other notable features include a fearsome appearance and a vocal sac for amplifying noise for fearsome displays of intimidation. An amphibious lifestyle, just as comfortable in a river or along a coastline as it is patrolling the land. Longer, sturdy legs for supporting its bulk, greater terrestrial movement, repositioning, pivoting, and even short, explosive bursts of speed. An above-average intelligence, incredible senses involving smell, sight, hearing, and vibration detection. A powerful digestive system capable of breaking down nearly anything the creature swallows. An energy-efficient body that can go for long periods of time on minimal resources. Internal air sacs for improved respiratory function and thermal regulation. Durable claws for digging, and natural counter shading for improved camouflage and stealth. For some of my closing thoughts on the Great Hybrid War, I've really enjoyed it. All of this born from Gojicenter's attempt to make a dinosaur capable of an extinction event with the Indominus 2.0, then fueled by its conflict with Goji Guy's Hank. I honestly can't imagine either creator could have seen any of this coming, and considering that the contest from my last approximation had about 1,600 plus submissions, so it's pretty clear the impact it's made on the internet as a whole. After all, I wouldn't have started this channel or made this video had it not been for them. Riktor really ended up becoming a passion project for me. The puzzle that was not just creating some monster with a lot of cool abilities that could win a fight, but actually designing a creature that had to live with all of its components, that had to actually function as a living creature, while taking down a creature as well designed as the Indominus 2.0 became truly fascinating to me. I've probably viewed tens of different hybrid videos, all claiming they will crush the Indom or destroy Hank, and while some of them do vary in quality, I was genuinely happy to see the amount of creativity and the different ideas on display. Originally, I was also going to include a fight script as well as a sort of Q&A section to answer a few questions that people might have regarding Riktor, but this video is getting a bit too long and I want to release it sooner, so those will likely be their own videos in the future if people would like that. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But to close on a point that I was going to make in that video about how I designed Riktor, I designed him with the intention that he would win about 55% of the time against the Indominus 2.0, up to maybe 60%. In a contest to submit a hybrid that is designed to beat the Indominus, it might seem a bit odd. I'll go into more details when I make that Q&A video, but to keep it short, I wanted Riktor to feel like a rival to the Indominus 2.0, with a greater emphasis on being a living creature he would fight, as opposed to a weapon designed to counter it. But what do you think? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, then I am thankful for you taking the time out of your day to visit my little clinic. Special thanks again to Gihon for their incredible art skill in helping to bring Riktor to life. Links to their VGen and other accounts will be included below. I had originally planned to release this video about a week after I submitted Riktor to the contest, but my misunderstanding in how to format a YouTube video, as well as learning the basics of recording and editing, took a bit longer than expected. As my first YouTube video, I'm quite proud of this, but of course I would love some peer reviews and feedback of any kind. Any feedback, criticisms, or suggestions will be acknowledged and greatly appreciated. Expect more to come in the future. But for now, this is Dreadmir, signing off.